Hey, what's up, y'all? And of course, welcome to another alternative factuals video. Forgive me, for some reason I feel like it's been a long time since I've actually done a video, even though I believe I dropped a video I believe it was Sunday. It was a Swamp Thing one. Hasn't been that long, but I don't know, it feels that way for some reason. Maybe because I did it early enough and then I haven't recorded anything in a while, but that is completely besides the point, and there goes my phone, and I'm not going to edit that out. But ultimately, this is what I want to talk about. So I want to discuss Stranger Things season 3, and there is a theory or rumor or even some indications given in the trailer that Billy Hargrove is the monster for season 3, and it's some very interesting things that I want to discuss about it, as well as talk about the theory and see what you guys are thinking about this concept and the possibility that he can potentially transform into the monster. But before I dive into any of those details and all that hoo-ha, please be sure to like, share, and of course subscribe. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you're feeling. Let me know those theories. Let me know all of it. And without further ado, let's jump right into this. So for those of you who are not aware, or maybe don't have enough information about Billy or anything like that, but Billy is that the character who came in season 2, and basically his father is Neil Hargrove, who married Susan Mayfield, and basically his sister is Max Mayfield, who is basically the one who's dating the black kid in the main cast of the the group of kids. But besides that, like I said, he's relatively for the most part an absolute jerk. And I mean that in the most, obvious of ways. He's very mean to his sister. He's very mean to the kids. But even though he's 17 years old, and at least according to the date in which they reference, his age, and then you got to extrapolate based on the year in which this takes place. But I'm not going to get into all that. Basically, he's 17 in season 3, and he's someone who's a jerk to everyone who's his equal or below him, or in regards to age or anything like that. But he is well aware of that. He's a 17-year-old that most women for some reason find very attractive, and he has this weird pedophilia mustache thing, and I don't know, that was a thing I guess back in the 60s, not 60s or the 80s, but whatever. Anyways, he's actually somebody who has a very large sex appeal with the women in the community. The older women seem to be very drawn to him, and he's very flirtatious towards them. Honestly, I think they're going to pull a twist out, and that he's probably going to end up being gay, but that's my prediction for his character. But ultimately, I do feel like the abuse that he suffers from his father, who, like I said, is Neil Hargrove, who married Susan Mayfield, obviously. And I think the abuse that he suffers is going to be a side effect in which not only the reason why he's a jerk, but ultimately why he's going to be struggling the most, I think, this season. Where most of the season, and as well as since he was introduced in season 2, he was introduced as someone you can easily just be like, oh, I don't like him, I hate him. And then you see a little glimpse of the abusiveness that his father gives him. And so basically you can tell he deals with a lot, and usually, like they say in psychology or anything like that, when it has to do with kids or teenagers, when kids or teenagers are lashing out in public, or they're mean in public, or if they're really ruthless, or whatever the case may be in terms of their behavior, chances are a lot of that has to do with what's coming from the house, the household, the home. So this season is going to be a very interesting arc for him, because I believe he's going to get some sort of redemption at the end of it, where he's going to realize, how he's been acting despite the fact that, yes, he's been abused, but ultimately, he still made a choice to hurt other people in order to make either himself feel better, or he kind of has this mindset where he wants everybody else to suffer. But besides the actual, background of his character and the motivations on why he's such a big jerk or anything like that, but there is a part of the trailer that I want to discuss in terms of him physically actually turning into a monster. You see in the trailer, there's actually a moment in which he's like, it looks like he might have been bitten by something or scratched by something, and then some sort of venomous liquid or some sorts has entered his bloodstream, and then over the course of probably like either the whole entire season of season 3, or maybe about half of it, you'll see that he's going to start to transform. So at this point, we're going to have one of those situations where you're dealing with someone who is struggling emotionally due to the situation that he has in his household, as well as he's struggling physically now, because now he has some sort of change going on in his body that he has no idea what it is. And remember, it has nothing to do with puberty. Puberty is, I guess, difficult enough to deal with, hormones and all that stuff, but ultimately imagine dealing with a home situation where your father's abusive. And then on top of that, you have to deal with, the changes of puberty, your emotional state, your mental state, your mind is still developing, your body's still developing. And then on top of that, you have some sort of monster or some sort of creature from an alternate dimension or whatever you want to call it, realm, and they come and they introduce something into your body which is going to cause you to possibly transform, or already you view yourself especially in someone in his situation, he probably has low self-esteem, he views himself as this monster already, or someone who just doesn't deserve to live of some sorts, and then he gets introduced into something that is even far worse, where physically his appearance is going to change, and it can be really frustrating for someone his age. And then at this point I feel like even though season 3 we want to hate him, we're going to want to attack him, and we're going to want to kind of see where this goes for him, and possibly this could be his last season, but we want the bad things that happen to people who are just jerks in series or movies, because that's basically what they're written for. But ultimately I think he's going to have a massive redemption, because either right before he transforms, or either let's say they find a cure and then some reason he starts dying, or whatever the case may be, right when there's in a moment of an epiphany, he's basically going to realize how he's been acting, how his behavior affects other people, as well as the impact that it has on his younger sister Max. Even though they're step siblings, at the end of the day, he doesn't have to treat her that way simply because his father treats her that way. He doesn't have to be mean to other people because his father treats him that way. But we're probably not going to get this epiphany or this realization till the ending of the season, or closer to the ending of the season. But ultimately I still do suspect that he is going to make this transformation into this monster. And besides the fact that obviously he's going to be like, I guess, the big bad, or someone for them to focus on in terms of who's behind certain activities or events that probably are going to be taking place in this town. Ultimately, remember, the big bad is still that giant massive creature that basically is still trying to get over from the other dimension. And also something that they said is when they got the mind flayer out of Will, basically Will may not be the person who possesses the mind flayer anymore, but ultimately 11 might have closed that portal before the mind flayer actually had the time to cross over. And they actually said this in the trailer, what if the mind flayer didn't go back home? What if it never left? And that we just sealed it in here with somebody else, and then they become a new host. And basically I think since Will is no longer the host, that is going to be Billy. But ultimately I think the trick to defeating this whole mind flayer is simply that I think Will, even though he doesn't have a direct connection to this creature anymore, ultimately I feel like he's going to have some sort of low level connection, since he was a previous host to this monster, and he's going to be the key to kind of saving Billy if he chooses to or not. But that's ultimately up to how they're going to write things in the season. But I'm actually very interested in terms of what if he does become this monster, and I want to know how people are going to react to it, especially the group who ultimately we focus on. Will and his friends, he's very mean to them, and I want to know, are they going to choose to save him, or for some reason just not put as much effort into it, as well as they're dealing with their own issues between the groups and their friendship dynamics, because some of them are in relationships or starting to get into relationships, and things are changing. Times are changing. The year that is taking place right now, I believe, is 1985. It's extremely important historically, just simply due to cinema, as well as the events that are taking place in the 80s and just period. But ultimately things are going to be vastly different in season 3, and then we're going to see that a lot of these characters are struggling with a lot of psychological, emotional, and especially Billy. I feel like he's going to be struggling not only psychologically, mentally, but like I said, physically. So let me know in the comments what you think. Do you feel like Billy's going to be the monster for this season? Do you feel like he's going to get this huge massive redemption arc? Do you feel like possibly he might die? What if this is his last season? Let me know any information that you found out about season 3. I'm very curious. I'm just watching the trailers, and honestly it's already July 2nd when I'm recording this, and then I'm actually kind of curious on what you guys are thinking, and how do you feel about things so far, as well as your predictions and theories and all that stuff. I'm very much down for it. But if you're new to the channel, please be sure to like, share, and of course subscribe. Leave your comments down below, and I hope to see you later on. Peace out.